I want to show you how this new template works. You choose the File New Project like any good Visual Studio project, then the C# cross-platform project template folder, and then the OfficeLocator template. Now I'm going to name this after my company. In this case it's ZAM, as in Xamarin, but it could have been anything, Acme, Amco. So now it's building a custom solution based on the project name ZAM, as you'll see here in a minute. Now it takes longer than I would like. You sort of know when the build is finished when you see the little minimize button up here, and so I'll collapse all these. You can see the 5 projects. And the first thing to do is to deploy the solution into Azure. So I pick deploy there off the right click. I choose the right account, and now I choose the subscription I want to deploy to. And then the last thing is to create a brand new resource group. Now this resource group is going to hold the entire solution, and in this case I'm going to put it in East US. So I hit create, and now it's deploying this entire OfficeLocator solution to Azure. There are a couple things I need to know. I need to know the SQL admin account name, so I'll put that in here. It needs to be a valid one, and I also need the password for the SQL admin. You can see the checkbox at the bottom. This will keep that in that file if you care to, otherwise it would leave it out. Alright, so it's deploying up there. I've sped this up, so this is not real time. In fact, this whole video has been crunched in time to make it go faster. But you can see at the bottom, when it's done and done right, you'll see the successfully deployed in the output window. Now the next thing to do is to publish the mobile service backend to Azure. So I'm going to click publish here, and I'm going to select existing solution because that's what we just deployed. And so now it will show what I just deployed. So Xamarin is up in Azure. I pick that as the target for the backend, and now I'm going to deploy the backend mobile service to what was deployed in Azure in the previous step. Okay, and that results in the base page being pulled up. I did implement an import page that goes along with the backend. So this is a page that's in the backend service itself that allows us to import locations. So I'll just hit a browse here, and I will browse to the standard location file that I got from the repo. So this is the same locations you guys have been working with in a comma separated file. Do an upload, and there you go. So 5 locations are in there, and so the entire solution backend is ready to go. So the next thing to do is to pull up this configuration manager. I don't know why, but this iOS project never gets selected, so you'll have to include that. I'm going to deploy, or actually I'm going to test the Android solution. So I set that as the default project, and now I'm going to run that app. I didn't have the emulator working, so I just pasted in the video of it actually working on the real device. So as you'll see here, the standard application is going to come up, and this is automatically pointing to the site that I just deployed, because all of this stuff is wired together in the solution. That's the beauty of that template. So you can see about those 5 there. I'm going to click on this one, and we'll just test it out a little bit. We'll go ahead and hit the navigate, check out the Google Play services and the Google Maps. Going cross country for this office location here. Okay, perfect. Now the next thing I'll do is just to test out the feedback aspect of the application. So if I kind of do some back pages here, I'll scroll down, and then we'll leave some feedback to verify that that aspect of the persistence is working. Drop in my name here. Throw in some feedback, and we'll see that this succeeds without a problem here. All right, just submit this. Okay, so that submits without an issue. I could go look up in the database, but you have to trust me on that. I've tested that and it's working. And so then the last thing I wanted to show is local debugging on the backend service, which is nice. If you wanted to throw in um, some push notifications, this would be a nice place to land it in this backend service. You could do it after something was added, just about anything you wanted to do there, or add more functionality in this backend. So I set this as the startup project. Now I'm going to go ahead and run this app here. But before I do that, just as a convenience, if you do this a lot, I just wanted to show this. It's worth taking the time to change the startup page to actually be the import. That way you have someplace decent to land and test things. So I'll paste this in here, and this just concatenate on the import locations page that you saw earlier, but this time it's running on the local server, not what was deployed out into Azure. Okay, so it's coming up on the local IaaS server. I will do the very same thing here. We'll import that same CSV file right here. But this time, instead of going into the Azure database, it's going to go into the local SQL Express database. And so to do that, there's a little trick here. You have to run the Management Studio as admin. Otherwise, you won't be able to connect to the MDF file. So that's what I've done here. I just started the Management Studio as admin. And now I'm going to attach to that local database. And here's how that works. So this comes up. I am editing my local Express. I could just as well have put in the Azure database, but I want to see the local database. So you right-click Databases here, and you say Attach. And then we add the MDF file here. So I'll have to change to this is the solution we just created, the XAM. So if I dig into the backend solution and then get into its data folder, there's the MDF file. And I hit that, and of course there's an error here. So what this is telling us is that I forgot to stop it in Visual Studio. Visual Studio still has access to that file, and it can't be opened by Management Studio. So I'll just stop the debugger here, pop back over to Management Studio, click the add again. We're already in the right location, so I'll just pick the file and click OK, and this time it should work just fine. Okay. And now, if I go back to Management Studio, I should be able to expand the databases here. If I dig into the local XAM Office database, expand the tables, you can see there's the tables. I've got the feedback and locations. If I say show me the locations, I expect to see the 5 that I just imported. And there they are. If I were to look at feedbacks in the local version, you'll notice that it's empty. And that's because I'm looking at the local version, not the remote version, which is what I added previously. So it's not pointing to